It is May 21st, 2018. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, joined as always by Mr. Raj Giri. We got some people coming along here. May 21st, 2018, a date that will live in infamy for two reasons. One, the Fox deal was announced today, and we'll have Brandon Thurston coming along to talk about the $1 billion 5-year commitment Fox is making to the WWE. A date that will also go down in history is the day we heard from Bobby Lashley's sisters in perhaps the worst segment since Old Day.
Program. Alexa Bliss, I think.
Yeah, that This Is Your Life was pretty Bailey, This Is Your Life was pretty terrible. Oh, that was tough tonight. And isn't it weird though? Like, Raj, let me tell you what you think of this theory. When the WWE has a day like today, where the stock's at an all-time high, $1 billion deal, gets mainstream media coverage, I think Vince McMahon just has some extra pep in his step and says, you know what? Whatever we're doing is working just fine, guys.
Yeah, that's what I tweeted. I said, that was exactly what I tweeted. It just seems like they know they could put whatever they want on the air and they're going to make a ton of money. So that's what they did, man. This was I don't know if the Sammy thing was terrible.
Yes.
There's nothing else on the show I thought that was necessarily bad, but it was just boring. Yeah, it was just dull. It was there. Nothing happening. It's nothing moving. It was just watching paint dry for 3 hours. So, yeah, and then it is what it was. The first hour I thought was the best, and just kept going downhill after that.
Like where we had the same match for the entire first hour.
But at least that was better than the rest of it.
And for a while, I thought they were just going to keep that as a theme. Like we're just going to keep adding another guy to the match every half an hour.
And it turns into a 6-man.
Yeah, absolutely. By the end of the night, it's a battle royal. You know?
Yeah, that was. Oh man, it was just boring. Yeah, what do you? It's weird. Yeah, you hear all this crazy news. And then you get all this great news for WWE, and this is what you get. Yeah.
So Brandon Howard Thurston is going to be coming along to talk about the financials of this deal. Matt's going to be with us tonight.
Yeah, he's having a couple issues right now, so I'm working with him getting him.
And he's going to overcome those issues the same way Roman Reigns overcomes adversity every week to be the strongest guy in the company.
Hey, he didn't win tonight, so
that's something.
I mean, his team won, but I mean, Seth has been getting more wins than Roman.
Oh, Seth's biggest star in the company right now, babyface wise. Probably
he gets the best reactions.
Yeah, man. It's so weird too because they get this mainstream media coverage today, all these stories, and you think lots more people are going to be tuning in. All eyes are on the WWE. What are they going to do to sort of show that they're worth all this money? And then tonight happens.
Huh.
I don't
know. Well, they didn't say they're going to, you said WWE has been saying they're going to restart the company.
No. I'm saying is that you think on a night like tonight with all these extra eyes on them, all these people tuning in, maybe just out of curiosity, what's the WWE up to that makes it worth $1 billion for the B show? To go to Fox on Fridays.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be that many extra viewers tonight, but
in the industry, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean it was what it was. Yeah, let's get to that. So let's breeze through this Raw review. Matt's rebooting his phone. He should be on right after that, and let's jump.
Actually, before we do that, let's take a moment and thank the sponsor of this episode, SeatGeek. Which let me tell you, Raj, last night for me was better than tonight was. Last night, I went and saw Weird Al Yankovic in concert. He played all original songs, no parodies.
That sounds like it would suck.
Well, did you listen to those albums as a kid?
I love the parodies, yeah.
But he had great original songs like Dare to Be Stupid, One More Minute, the theme to UHF. There are a lot of them. The Night Santa Went Crazy. So I got my tickets for this. I heard about this tour late. That Weird Al was doing this, and what do you know? Tried a couple different places. Tickets were sold out. SeatGeek to the rescue. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone. It is by far the easiest way I found to shop for tickets. I could be anywhere, and like in this case, just a few taps, I instantly found seats for Weird Al. They were the only place that had tickets for the show in Napa last night, and I used SeatGeek to buy the tickets. I got a great deal. I was in the third row, right off to the side of the stage. I could just see his perm glistening although it's a little more relaxed now. But there I was, Weird Al in concert, SeatGeek to the rescue. And what I love about it is that SeatGeek is designed to make your ticket buying experience easier than ever. They save you time and money by searching multiple ticket sites to compare prices and find you amazing deals. So it's like one of those travel sites that looks at all the different sources, says, hey, here's the best price, here's the best value, boom. And to get you the most bang for your buck, SeatGeek grades every ticket based on value to help you immediately identify the best seats that fit your budget. Plus, every purchase is fully guaranteed, so you can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. Make SeatGeek your go-to app for finding the best deals on every type of ticket: sports, concerts, comedy, the theater, professional wrestling, and more. And best of all, our listeners can get $20 off their first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter the promo code INC today. That's promo code INC for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. You know it, you love it. You heard of us talk about it. Raj has used it. Football tickets, Lady Gaga, Bon Jovi. We're rangy folks, people. We go to a lot of different events, and SeatGeek has the hookup. Download that app, save $20 on your first purchase. Just enter the promo code INC, and we thank SeatGeek for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Yeah, man. So after last night, I was like, okay, time to get back into wrestling mode. And then Raw happened. Starting off the show, Kurt Angle coming out. Man, so how did this go down? Refresh me on my memory on this. So we had Stephanie come out to interrupt Kurt. Then Roman came out. Then Kevin Owens came out. And then it devolved into a match. How do you think this ranked? Do you think maybe this was a bit of a play on fan expectations by having Stephanie McMahon come out? Thought maybe they were going to reference something about this deal, this media attention, but it said she was talking about overseeing the contract signing between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey.
No, I mean, they never talk about the TV deals on TV. You know, they never mention them. So, I mean, I just assumed it's her wanting to be, in the angle with Rousey, and, she wants to be involved. So, yeah, there she was. I mean, dressing down Kevin Owens, and he's not gonna get any revenge, in return. But, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. So yeah, Kurt Angle, Stephanie basically telling him she's kind of taking over tonight. She's gonna handle the Ronda Rousey Nia Jax contract signing. Mentioned Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns came out. Somewhere in there, Jinder. Did Jinder attack during the segment? I'm already.
That was during the match. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just kind of nothing. It set up Roman and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens came out. He was great. I thought he was really good here, and that was about it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting having Kevin go head to head with Roman. I mean, we know Roman and Jinder is the feud. That's what they're doing at the live events. Thought maybe they were mixing things up, but then Seth Rollins came out. I actually would love to see Kevin Owens in another feud with Seth Rollins. I think that could be really cool. But it looks like they're going back to his actually, I was gonna say they're doing the Intercontinental Open Challenge next week, but that's gonna be against Jinder Mahal. So maybe we'll see the four of these guys kind of mixing it up for the foreseeable future in storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I think they didn't want to have Roman versus Jinder. Makes sense. So since they're doing that at the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So, so Roman won that match by DQ because Jinder Mahal with Sunil Singh came out, and then back from the commercial break turned it into a tag match because Seth Rollins had come out. So it was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal, with Seth getting the blackout pin for the win in that match. And this went on for like 50 minutes of the show, maybe the entire first hour.
This was pretty much the first hour. Rollins looked good. Him and Reigns looked good too. I mean, Reigns, Rollins, Owens. I mean, these guys can go. So it was a good match. But yeah, it was the whole first hour. No real implications. Jinder Mahal came out, interfered, attacked Roman. But yeah, it was just kind of nothing. But it was an entertaining match. I think Seth, I've been saying this. I posted on Twitter, and no one disagreed with me when I said I think Seth should be the one to beat Brock, like I mentioned on the podcast. And then Roman turns heel, cashes in on Seth, and wins the title, and that's your big feud. And you got your top babyface in Seth, your top heel in Roman. Lesnar out of the picture for a while. I think that would be money. I think that
I'll watch that.
I would. Yeah, I think that would really heat things up and light a spark.
Well, what do you make of Roman? What do you say that quote in response to Steve Austin about, turning him heel? I mean, Roman kind of trying to walk the line a little bit with the reaction he's getting. Now, notice tonight to Stephanie, he said, I'll go back there and beat up every superstar you care about. That's not really a babyface threat to make.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is it's just what it is now. And every time WWE is trying to get fans to cheer him, it just causes the opposite reaction. So the fans are kind of beyond the point of where they're going to change their mind and start cheering Roman. So either you just keep going with it and have him booed and just you get this that same reaction where you don't need to do that. With Cena, it made sense because he does all that charity work and he's so in the public eye with the Make-A-Wish and all that kind of stuff. With Roman, you don't have that. So there's no real reason not to turn him. But for whatever reason, Vince feels like they want like that top, John Cena, The Rock superstar, and they're baking on it. Reigns being that guy, even though he's at least not at this point, he's not. And Rollins probably isn't either, but at least he's kind of like on that level of like a Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart. He's a big star, maybe not a Rock, Steve Austin kind of guy, but definitely a top guy that fans like and can move tickets. And I think that's the way they should go, and it would freshen Roman up, and I think fans would get a whole deal of respect for Roman with it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that response? Like,
oh my God,
Seth wins the title, fans are going crazy, beats Brock, and then Roman's music hits, and he cashes in the Money in the Bank. Granted, he's all the slots are full. They could always find a way to get someone out of it though. So.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in favor of it. And I think back, I almost tweeted this tonight, but I was like, it's a little too snarky, but this idea, it's like, remember?
Nope. Hey, Glenn, Glenn dropped there. So I guess I'll take it over for now. And Matt is having technical issues still, and so is Glenn. So
that was weird. Hangouts just
are.
Decided without my interference that just needed to refresh. But no, remember that 2 weeks where Roman was like really interesting in the build up to WrestleMania when he was calling out Brock and he had the confrontation with Vince McMahon and he got, kicked out off the show. It was the week before the U.S. Marshal stunt happened. Like that was a good 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. But the fans weren't really cheering him still. I mean, they made up their minds on it,
Yeah. Yeah. So. It's tough. It's tough, man. I don't know what they're going to do about it. Because with John Cena, the booze, I just feel like there's a difference. I mean, I don't think anyone sincerely hates John Cena. I feel like the Cena sucks is kind of in Kurt Angle territory.
That's now, but they did for a while.
Yeah. No, there was a long time. But with Roman, I just don't see any glimmer that we're getting to that stage in the game.
And he's a big star for sure.
Absolutely.
He's just not what they want. They want him to be the top babyface, and he gets booed every week. So, and he gets cheered on a lot of the house shows when they go to the smaller towns, and it's not the TV crowd. But anyway, there's a simple solution, and they're not going with it.
Yeah, and then after that segment, you were rewarded for sticking through that first hour with Sami Zayn bringing out Bobby Lashley's sisters. I was looking forward to this because I knew this was either going to be surprisingly really good or a complete train wreck. It was the latter.
It was the latter. If
it was actually his sisters, this could have been good. There could have been something there. I would have given it complete benefit of the doubt. But the second, when the first sister came out, I'll be honest.
It was 3 indie wrestlers dressed in drag.
When the first one came out, I wasn't sure. I was kind of like, okay. He comes from a very muscular, sort of athletic family. But then the second one with the mustache came out, kind of tipped you off.
Yeah, this sucked. This sucked before they even got to the ring. Like just bringing them out, and then you just could feel the audience groaning. You could just feel that collective groan and like, this shit. It was the feeling you got.
Sami Zayn's entrance and exit were very good. I enjoyed those. Sami's
entertaining, but he couldn't save this, and I thought maybe he could, but
And all I kept thinking,
The Rock couldn't save this segment.
Did Sammy agree to this, or did he just not fight hard enough to not like? He should have been like, "I'm just walking, guys." Like,
how much power do you think Sammy has?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he was thinking, Neville maybe had the right idea. Sitting at home in Quebec wouldn't be that bad compared to doing this shit every week.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, it worked a little. Bobby wasn't booed. He got some cheers when he came out. So there was that.
Yeah, it got substantially worse than when Bobby came out. Because then it was like Bobby interacting with it, treating it like it was.
Yeah, like he was having fun. He was having a great old time. Yeah, another case. Bobby is like Roman, in my opinion. Like Vince loves him. He wants him to be a babyface, but I think he's much better off as a heel.
Vincent Slater in the chat room saying, "So glad I was watching alone. Oh my God. If I'd had people over who were not wrestling fans, I just would have turned off the TV. I just would have been like, I don't know what's wrong, guys. The connection went out. This isn't what I know. I watch much better things than this every week on WWE."
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been mortifying to watch with a non-wrestling audience. So we'll see where that feud's going.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, I feel like people should almost watch it just to understand. Any recap we could do of how terrible
I just think it's just
do it justice.
This just seems obvious. It's going to be like Braun and Finn tonight. When they announced it, you just figured it was almost so obvious that you almost were like, they've got to do something different. Is it just going to be Braun just power slamming and pinning Finn clean? And that's what it was. And this feud is just Bobby squashing Sammy.
Yeah, splitting Sammy and Kevin up for a while.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Alexa Bliss cutting a promo tonight. Speaking of out of nowhere, talking about the ancient Romans.
Sound like what's her name? Doris Kearns Goodwin or something like that. You know who that is?
Presidential historian Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Yeah, it's not like she scripted that promo.
I thought I was like she memorized the Wikipedia entry. I mean, I want to know who came up with that idea. Like, was Vince McMahon watching the History Channel the other night? He was like, the ancient Romans.
No one talks like that. Like, her delivery was fine. I thought Alexa did as well as she could with that material, but who talks like that? It's so unnatural. Anyway.
Oh, it was. I mean, that's one tonight where it's like you just need to watch that promo. That might be the most random reference.
It just doesn't fit her character. Like people in the chat are saying, it's just strange.
Yeah, but she did great with it. I mean, hats off to her for memorizing it and delivering it with as much conviction as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And that led to a match, Alexa Bliss versus Ember Moon, with Mickie James standing ringside. Of course, Mickie James attempted to interfere at one point, distracting the referee. Mickie got ejected, which allowed Bliss to roll up Ember for attempted to roll her up, but then Ember did the Eclipse, hit the pin and the win.
Yep. Ember looked good.
Ember looked great. Mm-hmm. I liked Alexa's kind of tweaked her look. Mickie James, some weeks, I mean, just so on point that you're just like, she has not aged at all.
Yeah. She
in her entire professional wrestling career. So yeah, solid match. Was what it was. Finn Balor backstage with Braun Strowman talking to Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie with a framed photo of Vince McMahon there in her office. Enjoyed that touch. Braun crushed an apple with his bare hands, and she set up a match. They wanted a rematch against Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, but instead she broke them up and put them in a one-on-one match for later that evening, which led us to No Way Jose versus Baron Corbin. Yeah. This is still...
No Way Jose is gimmicks killer. He's already losing clean on Raw. He's been on the main roster for a little over a month, month and a half. It's career. Yeah, I mean, not a career killer. It's definitely a WWE this run killer. And he's got the size. He's got a cool look. But this is not going to take him anywhere.
I mean, for Corbin, he's done these kind of feuds before. Like, with what was it? Kalisto? I forget which one of the Lucha Dragons, but they put him against sort of a little more colorful, flamboyant act and just let him go out there and do his thing. And this was fine. There was a little back and forth, but of course, he won with the end of days.
Yeah.
And stood tall over Jose as Corbin's music played. Chad Gable was backstage. They were interrupted by McIntyre and Ziggler. They got into it a bit. I'm assuming that's setting up something. Oh, actually, wait a second. Is that setting up what I think it is? Jason Jordan comes back, American Alpha versus McIntyre and Ziggler, maybe?
Oh, I didn't see that. I think that would be a bad idea. I think Jason Jordan, it would be kind of a step backwards. Well, he was getting a lot of heat. He was, he's teaming with Seth. He was in a bigger program. I think it would just be a step backwards. So
maybe
I don't see that.
I don't know. I mean, with Gable, it's just I like Chad Gable a lot, but they've clearly got nothing creatively for him. And
yeah, it's almost like is he better off as a job guy on Raw or a top guy on 205 Live? I don't know. Yeah, because 205 Live, you get no real exposure, dead crowds, but he would be one of the bigger stars on there.
Absolutely. So yeah, we had that promo segment, and then the B team versus Breezango. So Axel and Dallas keeping their winning streak going.
I like them.
It's fun. Yeah, I like them coloring in the shirts a little more each week.
I'm all for them beating Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy for the tag titles.
You think
it should be Drew and Dolph, but
yeah. You think they're going to go full Heath Slater and Rhino with this? I don't think they're quite the fan favorites that they.
We'll have to see. We'll have to give it a little time, but I could see that.
Yeah, it was good seeing them pick up another win, man. And I love their celebration after
on the show. Yeah,
yeah.
They're going to get injured during that celebration one of these weeks.
Oh, with the chair? Yeah, I was just waiting for that to happen. So that was good. And then we had the contract signing, Stephanie McMahon, Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax. Stephanie, and they're just sort of crapping on both of them.
That's what Stephanie does.
Yeah.
That's her thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to end with them just both beating up Stephanie McMahon, I'm sure, if she keeps interjecting herself in this. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Still think it's stupid to be doing this match so soon. Should have just done Rousey and Mickie James, have a big storyline leading to Rousey facing Nia Jax. When you think about Rousey and WrestleMania, you want a big feud. And there's only two people right now that really fit. It's Charlotte and Nia, but they're doing Nia already, and they're making her not look special at all, losing to Carmella twice. They screwed up Asuka by having her undefeated streak and for absolutely no reason. They could have done the Rousey match now and have her lose the streak, next month. You could have kept it going for another couple months. But they're doing this. It's just random out of nowhere. Yeah, it is what it is.
And then we did get Chad Gable versus Dolph Ziggler. For some reason, a match I completely have no recollection of that happening tonight.
Yeah, Dolph beat him pretty clean. And Drew hit him with his big kick. What's he called? The Claiborne after the match.
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, if they keep this going, Jason Jordan comes in, they reunite, but then they turn on one another, and we get the Jordan Gable singles feud.
Hey, that could work.
I mean, American Alpha was so great in NXT, from coming together to the championship.
How many things were great in NXT?
I know. I
mean, what has worked in NXT that has worked on the main roster? Is more like it.
Finn's debut was really good. And they put the championship on.
Long term.
I mean, well, that's the thing. Elias was never over in NXT.
Yeah, he wasn't a big act. The things Adam Rose was big in NXT.
Oh man,
yeah, the Revival and the Ascension, all those acts were really over in NXT. But
maybe USA wants to pick up NXT, now that they'll have a hole in their schedule. Actually, if WWE could sell the broadcast rights to that for $1 million an hour, I'm sure they'd be like, well, we don't really need it on the network, each week.
Yeah. So Matt he keeps getting this error with Hangout. So it's looking like he might not be able to make it on tonight. So, but yeah, Brandon will be on shortly.
Got it. We should just say Matt was so disgusted by tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw that in protest, he's avoiding the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Money in the Bank Fatal 4-Way Qualifier. Dana Brooke versus Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Sarah Logan. This was okay. I thought this match was all right. High point of the show. Good back and forth. Of course, Natalya won. seemed obvious. Setting up what I think is even more interesting, a gauntlet match with 7 women next week on Raw. I mean, that has to be an hour of the show.
I guarantee you it won't be an hour. But
how do you do a credible gauntlet match considering
they've done gauntlet matches with women before and they go like 20 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, the last gauntlet match we had with the men, that took up an entire 3-hour episode.
But you had like a bunch of main eventers in that.
Yeah.
There's not really, I mean, with the way they book the women, you got really one, I don't know if you can really call any of them main eventers right now, other than Ronda Rousey.
I mean, tough.
You know what I mean? I think they could be, then they should be if they're given real storylines.
Sasha and Charlotte.
Sasha, they could be, and have been, yes. But right now they're just booked like afterthoughts.
So next week in that gauntlet match, we're gonna have Bayley and Sasha, the Riot Squad, Dana Brooke and Mickie James.
Yeah.
Who's your pick out of that to get this last Raw slot for Money in the Bank?
Maybe Mickie.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bayley and Sasha are going to continue to be tied.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm sure something will happen with them. One of the worst storylines, probably the worst women's storyline of this year. And
maybe Ruby Riot, but
yeah, I can see Ruby too. Yeah,
Mickie be good. I'm not ruling out Dana though.
Mickie would really add to the match quality.
Absolutely.
She's so good in the ring that I think she would add the most to it.
I'm only not ruling out Dana because where was Titus Worldwide tonight? I feel like it's kind of weird that they didn't capitalize on that. Titus gets that big moment out of the Greatest Royal Rumble and they capitalized on it for 2 weeks and now they're nowhere to be seen. They were Noah Jose's Congo line a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, they just have nothing for him. Titus slipping. I mean, how much can you do with that?
Yeah. I would like to know what creative thinks like their shining achievement is right now.
They don't need it. We'll be talking about that soon, but
I know
they could have Roman eating breakfast for 3 hours. And they'll add another $50 million on their TV deal.
That's what I want to ask everyone about this thing. Let me ask you this, Raj. Does it kind of piss you off on a level just to see mediocrity rewarded in this fashion and everything that we complain about, there's glimmers of hope, yes, but everything that's just wrong and sort of the overall wrong direction of the product, to see them rewarded on such a substantial level right now?
I mean, they're doing something right. If they could get, the kind of money they're getting, look at what Impact and, the kind of TV deals they're getting. So, they know that they can just put creative on just cruise control and they'll be fine. But also it is this time of the year, to be fair. I mean, this time of year always kind of sucks creatively. WWE kind of does nothing until July. So it could just be that it's just that season where they don't want to throw anything big out yet.
Yeah. So Sarah Logan tapped out to the sharpshooter when Natalya won that Money in the Bank spot. And then, not a repeat, kind of a repeat, Elias versus Bobby Roode. Elias, high point of the night, mentioning the WWE stock price up 150% since Elias joined Monday Night. Yes, Elias came up to the main roster.
Right, he's right.
Yeah. Oh, don't you wish? 3 years ago, I remember it was
trading under $40 just 3 weeks ago, and it closed at 58 today.
I remember when it was at 15, and I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe it'll go lower. And then it just kept going up and up and up.
Yeah.
It was at 20 like a year ago.
Yeah, well, it tanked after the last TV deal because they were expecting so much more, and then you got the reverse after this one.
Yeah. But that was great, though, tonight with Elias. The Bobby Roode, interesting, the commentary called it out as a rubber match. I know that terminology is not unique to wrestling, but normally, since so many people do apply that term when talking about wrestling and feuds, interesting for commentary to say, oh, this is kind of a rubber match between the two.
And yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And Elias pretty much getting a clean win here. It's sad seeing what's happening to Bobby Roode. It could be such a great heel. They're hurting so bad on the heel side. I mean, they got nobody. Owens loses all the time. Sammy isn't really a main event heel. He could be. I don't know. But he's just not that. They don't see him in that position. So Roode could be that guy, but they just have him miscast as a smiling, goofy baby face, and and his reactions are pretty much completely gone outside of his ring entrance and when he does the glorious thing. But it's too bad. But at the same time, I didn't want to see Elias get beaten this either because he does have momentum, and I think I see him as breaking through to the top level.
Yeah, until Braun, and during his entrance, just knocks Elias over.
Yeah.
Short-lived moment of victory there. Tonight. So Braun and Finn, Team Little Big 2.0 is over, and they had a match tonight that was fun.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's over.
Yeah.
WWE logic. Remember when Sasha and Bayley broke up and they're teaming the next week? And, this just seemed like it was just a one-off match. They had nothing else because, afterwards Braun picked him up and tried to, put him over. I don't know what you call it.
But Braun was being mean to him during, though. He was being really mean to him, like mocking him.
Yeah, but that's his style.
That's true.
Yeah, pretty much Braun just kicked the crap out of him the whole match.
It's fun.
He got a little offense and beat him clean with the power slam.
I mean, I would have liked to. I think there's a competitive version of this match that they wouldn't do. Because it's Braun. Same way we talked before about Finn versus Brock. Like they wouldn't let it be a really competitive match because the way Vince thinks big guy versus little guy.
And he's kind of right. I mean, when you look at it, it just looks kind of ridiculous, right? When you see Finn next to Braun, you look in MMA, you're not expecting a flyweight to beat a heavyweight. I mean, there's a reason why you got the divisions. And I think Finn standing next to Braun, to think, Finn could have a chance of beating him in real life, it doesn't seem realistic at all.
But remember in Return of the Jedi when Luke was in the Rancor pit at Jabba's palace and the big monster, and Luke managed to take him down and take him out and beat him? That was a really cool fight. I think something like that would work.
There has to be a realistic size, I guess. Not you don't have to be big, but I could buy Seth Rollins beating Braun Strowman. For whatever reason, I can't buy Finn.
I actually buy Finn beating Brock Lesnar more than I buy Finn beating Braun Strowman. Strangely.
And I don't really buy either. I love Finn, but I think a lot of it might have to do with how he's been booked too. But
you know what it is? Brock is really good. You only see moments of this when he looks kind of surprised by a move. Brock has a really good I didn't see that coming.
Like with AJ, yeah.
Braun, though, on the other hand, kind of seems like he sees everything coming because he's Braun Strowman.
Yeah. Yeah. So they really have no idea what to do with Braun right now.
Yeah.
They're kind of stuck with this thing with Finn. But yeah, he picked him up after the match. So I guess that just means that they're cool. And,
I want should have been patting him on the head there, little buddy.
Yeah. Hey, you did your best.
You're still my special little guy.
Right.
Just that probably would have been even more emasculating, but Vince McMahon would have thought it was hilarious. Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about it here, remove the fact that first two matches took up an hour. There was not very much substance. This felt like a half episode of Raw. All of tonight.
It was just nothing. You missed it. You missed nothing. There's no big storyline twist. Nothing. It was just there.
Although that's most episodes of Raw and SmackDown, because if you do miss anything of note, they're going to re-show the thing you missed 100 times.
Well, WrestleMania season, usually there's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the night after, a couple of weeks after. But
yeah. So that was Raw tonight. Let's bring on our guest.
Brandon Howard Thurston. Brandon, can you hear us? Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Hold on. Very dark.
We can't hear you right now.
Oh, it's because hide participants? No? Okay, that's not it. I don't know.
Hey, do you see a mute thing, Brandon? Glenn, why don't we talk about Cena while
okay, yes. Brandon. Let's talk about what's going on with John Cena and Nikki Bella.
So, yes, the new season of Total Bellas is happening. John Cena and Nikki were spotted coincidentally together this past weekend. TMZ just happened to catch him. Man, I don't know. I feel like this, Cena's movie career, I think this just makes him look like a wuss. This whole thing, like he's got the look of an action movie star, and these promos he's cutting on the Today Show about how he's longing for Nikki Bella. I don't know. I just don't think it fits into that image. Anyway.
Well, it's certainly not the John Cena that was on the Howard Stern show 15 years ago when the original Marine came out.
Yeah.
Brandon,
Brandon, can you hear us now? Oh, Brandon, can't hear you, man.
Still figuring it out, folks. Still figuring it out. So I feel like this is work. We're all suckers. We're all marks. We just keep getting played.
Yeah, it's probably going to work.
But it's a relationship that. Do you care about this relationship? I've never cared about this relationship.
A lot of people do. I mean, those videos are getting so many views on YouTube, and it's tons of articles written about it. So,
how about now?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
And clearly, Brandon, I mean, the relationship troubles are having no negative effect on the WWE stock price. So
no, John Cena and Nikki Bella's relationship has not affected the stock price, at least not yet.
Not negatively.
If anything, it's positive. It's
when they get married at SummerSlam or next year's
Total Bella is probably going to be the highest rated yet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. Huge news today. SmackDown. New deal with Fox starts in October 2019. It's $205 million per year is what's being reported for 5 years, so over $1 billion. It'll be moving to Friday nights. They didn't indicate if it'll be live or if it'll be taped. Now, typically in the past, when SmackDown was on Thursdays or Fridays, they would do it taped and they would tape it on Tuesdays, just because you had all the production trucks, everything from Raw. So it was easy to just transport. It saved a ton in costs. But with all this money, if Fox wants it, I'd assume that they'd gladly do it live on Fridays if that's what they wanted.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that WWE and Fox have discussed. And with SmackDown, I mean, I could see SmackDown running on Friday and then having them run their house shows Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which is what they do anyway, right? Like we've heard that how they run house shows on Monday while Raw is going on, because obviously they're going to work SmackDown the next day on Tuesday at the moment.
Have you guys ever been to one of those counter programming house shows on a Monday?
The Monday house shows?
Yeah, I went to one in Stockton, California. Oh, it was something else.
Yeah, how was the draw?
Not very much. It was basically it could have filled a high school gymnasium, but it was in like a small arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right now SmackDown they basically work Saturday to Tuesday, ending with SmackDown Live. They do a Monday house show, and then Raw is Friday to Monday. So it would kind of just be probably taking out that Monday house show and moving,
and in
SmackDown
fact
go on the same basically schedule as Raw.
I'm going to say now that they can afford 2 production trucks, now that I don't think they have to run those tours in close proximity. I think they can have SmackDown and Raw in separate parts of the country now. Probably it'll draw a lot better, because now the way they do it, like when Raw was in Oakland, SmackDown was in Stockton, which is an hour and a half from Oakland,
Right, but the television production is still Kevin Dunn, and it's still the same people.
Yeah, but if it's now a Friday and a Monday, they got time. They got time to fly. They got time to drive. They got time to move. I think this is probably better for the house show business, because it's really silly how close they are in proximity. And I see it on Twitter all the time, by the way. I see people saying, oh, I went to this Monday show just because I like the SmackDown roster better. Like they'll skip Raw that's closer to them because SmackDown's within driving distance.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many times they do them in the same arena. I mean, every time they're in Denver, they pretty much do Raw and SmackDown at the same arena.
Yeah.
So 205 Live. I had tweeted about that. Who knows if it'll keep airing? I don't think that's their biggest concern right now. But
right, and they have over a year to figure this out too.
Yeah, exactly.
And like 205 Live in the grand scheme of things is it's a small show. It's something that provides content for the network. And they've talked a lot about how the network they've learned through the lessons of the network that people actually want more in-ring content. So it's something that's putting more in-ring content on the network along with NXT. But it's a small piece when you compare it to $200 million a year.
Oh yeah. No, I think 205 Live could be going back to Full Sail. I mean, or could be going to Full Sail after this announcement today. So what do we actually know? I saw a ton of speculation today, but Brandon, what are the actual facts as of today, what we know about this deal?
Well, we know, I think this Hollywood Reporter reported that it's a $205 million deal per year. That would be the average annual value. That would be over 5 years. And of course, it's going to be escalating fees just like it is now. So it'll be more each year, but the average over the 5 years, according to Hollywood Reporter, is $205 million. We don't know. I don't think we got somebody to actually report what the Raw deal is, but I did some calculations on it based on what's been reported, because what's been reported is it's as much as a 3x increase for Raw. And that looks like it might be around $270 million per year on average. So that would come out to like somewhere between 1.3 and 1.5 billion. So a little bit more than the SmackDown deal. I did the math just before I came on. It's something like a 40%, 60% split in favor of Raw in terms of the value, the total value.
So you're looking at, WWE last year, their total revenue was around a little over 800 million, correct? Yeah. And so now just the TV alone will be almost $500 million. So
right.
Close to 500 million right off the bat. That's it for, so, you helped me out a lot with that article I wrote on Friday, kind of looking at what Raw and SmackDown are worth. It's funny because I was kind of using the Raw figures and, with the numbers you had, kind of looking at around 270 to 300 million on the high end. Right. And then with SmackDown, I thought people were going to crap over it because the number I put out, kind of using that value, I thought people were just going to say, wow, that's way too high, because I had a 150 to 180 million and it was actually more than that. Yeah. That's what they ended up getting.
Yeah, I guess like maybe it's just more because they're having to move. So it's going to take you more to move away from USA to move to Fox. So I guess that's the deal. I mean, like for the last few years, a lot of the talk has been, well, these TV ratings are declining. And we know that this is like the big event in WWE business, right? Is how much are those TV rights deals going to be worth? And for the last few years, up until this year, because TV ratings have started to finally stabilize. Yeah. But for the last few years until now, the TV ratings have declined year over year over year. And but lo and behold, they're still getting paid a ton of money, despite the fact that they are delivering lower viewership than they did years prior.
Well, let me tell you what's in it for Fox. So what I know about the entertainment business, 205 million a year, let's say 50 weeks a year, 52 weeks a year, works out to $4 million per week. That's $1 million per half an hour of programming. That's a bargain for Fox. The average comedy, reality, whatever they put on. It's very hard for Fox to put anything on the air that's less than $1 million, let alone something that's guaranteed to get this level of ratings. Look at all the cancellations that just happened.
It's a bargain if you're just taking them equally, like a golf viewer equally to a wrestling viewer, right? But the ad rates are so much higher for those other shows. Like golf gets a fraction of what Raw gets, but they make a ton of money because you got, sponsors like BMW and, Cadillac and, people like that. So there is that aspect. You don't make as much from advertising as you do these other shows. Advertising with wrestling than you do these other shows.
And Fox Friday, though, hasn't really been killing it for quite a while. They've always had problems with that. Look back to the, Firefly, Dollhouse, Terminator, all the genre sci-fi shows that have gone and been canceled there. They've had trouble getting a hit on that night of the week. So I think with this, they'll take 3 million viewers or whatever they can put up per week. Great. That's better than most Fox programming has been doing on that night.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what do you guys think about there's this talk about how, well, this is going to be on Fox broadcast channel compared to Raw still being on cable on the USA Network. Is SmackDown going to become the A show? I think maybe at first, I guess it depends on how the long-term viewership goes, but I think Raw is going to continue to be the flagship program for WWE.
Yeah, I think they just have it in their heads that Raw is the flagship, because there was a while there when when SmackDown was on My Network TV, UPN, CW. There was a while where it would deliver more viewers than Raw. Mm-hmm. Had more exposure and everything. It got more viewers per week, but Raw still had the priority. And I think just with it being 3 hours, you're going to need more stars to fill it in. I think you're kind of going to see it what it is now. I don't see much change. I could see the first few weeks they load everything up like Vince tends to do, and then it just kind of drops off to where they normally would be. But we'll see. I mean, Fox, this is, I mean, when you think about it, this is outside of the money. This is the biggest TV deal they've ever had. They've never had a weekly show on a network like Fox. I mean, I'm not counting CW and UPN because they're CW and UPN, but one of the big four, and to have an average, you know, a weekly show, it's something that's been talked about forever, and now it's actually finally happening.
The closest thing would be Saturday Night's Main Event on NBC and Fox decades ago. Those are specials, obviously.
Right, exactly. Like once every 6 weeks, it would air. But yeah, on a weekly basis, this is huge. Now, a lot of people asking why on a Friday night, and it's kind of one of those things. That's that trade-off. Yeah, Raw. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, SmackDown is an 8 on Tuesdays and a 6 on Fridays. Well, the shows that are currently on Fridays are like a 2, so it's more value to Fox to have it on Friday, where they have a hard time getting viewership, than putting it on Tuesdays, even though they probably have higher viewership on a Tuesday, because Friday is probably the second worst night for wrestling outside of Saturday.
Well, they're doing it with Thursday now because they're getting Thursday Night Football as well. That's why they killed a lot of their primetime programming after this season for when Thursday night launches. So I think Fox is just the economics of it. And remember, with what's going to be going on with Disney, if that goes through, that's really going to change a lot as far as their ability to produce in-house content.
So what's this talk with the new Fox? Is that just the Disney purchase? Brandon, do you know what I'm talking about?
I saw that mentioned in the I think it's the Hollywood Reporter article about how it's unofficially being branded as the new Fox,
right? And
that's related to the Disney deal.
Yeah, but I don't. It doesn't seem like they're changing direction or anything. Like the shows are still going to be. It's still going to be operating as it has been.
Yeah. I only pay attention to wrestling. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be different too, because remember now Disney's going to own 2 networks. They're going to have ABC and Fox. So I think with Fox, you are going to see probably more reality and more live programming that people tune in for live. And wrestling is perfect for that. I mean, that's the problem. A lot of these Fox shows, I mean, look at like Gotham, a lot of the stuff that Fox has been running, their live ratings are kind of meh, but their live +3, live +7 are decent. And this is going to get them more live viewers, which they can sell more ads on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really big deal for WWE in that it's going to allow WWE to be, I don't know, I've heard you guys, I didn't catch Raw myself, but I heard you guys talk about Raw, and it didn't sound like it was so great.
Didn't miss much.
It's a weird time to be a wrestling fan because, you know, it's a good time for their business because now everything is much more stable. These are guaranteed rights. It almost doesn't matter what the TV viewership is. I guess if it got terrible, they could maybe get out of it. But as long as they have these guaranteed rights, which it looks like they're going to have maybe another 5 years worth of, they have a WWE network now that's more stable as opposed to pay-per-view. It's not like pay-per-view where you'd have one big pay-per-view, one medium-sized pay-per-view or whatever. You've got, obviously, WrestleMania is the peak every year, but it's a lot more predictability. And in fact, whenever we see their quarterly reports come out, they predict within a couple of % just exactly what their next quarter's pay subscriber rate's going to be.
Oh yeah, sorry. What did the network bring in last year?
As far as revenue, I could find out in a minute.
Because I'm guessing that at $500 million, we're probably like 3 times from TV what they're doing on the network. So
yeah, I did the math real quick earlier, and you know these deals will be worth almost half of their revenue. Let's see. If you want to know, the network for last year was $190 $191.
Right. So you're looking at 2.5 times what they do with the network with TV rights. That's without not taking into account expense and things like that.
And it's going to get to a weird point. I think the point's been made. They're going to be making more per episode of Raw or SmackDown than they will per pay-per-view.
It's going to change it could potentially change their approach to storytelling, probably for the better.
I don't know. I still think there's no reason for them to change because they still want to increase network subscriptions and everything.
Yeah. I think a big thing for fans. I think a big thing like going on for fans is we want a better product, and maybe WWE is not satisfying everybody, especially the main roster product isn't satisfying everybody. But deals like this give them even less incentive to really care about what are these fans upset about. I think the things that they really care about are these relationships with their TV partners like the USA Network, or NBC Universal, and now Fox. The only things that really seem to make them change what they do is like when Snickers says, "Hey, what's going on with this Fabulous Moolah thing?" That's what makes them change their mind.
I think they might think twice before. I mean, when I saw this today, I was like, this probably, I don't think it'd be as apt to bring Hogan back if they have to worry about Fox breathing down their neck,
I wonder, does Fox care? I don't know. This is the company run by Rupert Murdoch.
That's true.
Exactly. I think Fox is not going to be standing in their way of that. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the math of this, right? The last time they had their TV deal was up and they renewed is 2014. So, 4 years ago, by the time this new deal goes into effect, it'll be 5.
Right.
They were doing about, earlier in the year, over 4 million viewers on average, and then, dropped significantly during football season, 3.7, 3.9 in that area for Raw. And now, you're at around 3 million. So while ratings have dropped, the viewership has dropped, 25%. Mm-hmm. Their revenue is increasing 300%.
Right.
So the math is just crazy with what they're getting with these TV rights right now. And what these companies are willing to spend.
Yeah, they would have gotten an even bigger deal, I think, in 2014 if the network wasn't happening at the same time. I think that's what scared NBC Universal and maybe other partners, because I guess they weren't sure about what's going to happen to TV viewership. And I'm not really even sure what happened with TV viewership and why it's leveled off now. And maybe the network was a bigger factor than I thought earlier about why TV viewership did decline to the rate that it did. But they would have gotten a much better deal, and then that's why the stock went way up in 2014 and then crashed in May of that year when the news of the deal came out, because they got a much worse deal. They got an increase, but it was not as good of a deal as people thought they were going to get, and that was, I think, because of the network happening at the same time.
Well, Vince was almost guaranteeing that they were going to get like 4 times the amount.
He's going to put somebody in a hammerlock, or somebody could put him in a hammerlock if they didn't get a 3x deal or something like that.
Right? Yeah, on that call he had said that.
But then Vince admitted himself, I think, on one of the calls that, we would have gotten a better deal if not for the network. I think that did interfere with things.
Well, it was still new then. I mean, the idea of TV streaming. I mean, House of Cards just debuted on Netflix 1 year prior. We didn't quite know how the reality was going to shake out between these streaming services. I think networks probably had a lot of just fear about what the network was going to be,
Yeah. So it's crazy. So also with taped or live. So this last week's SmackDown was taped, and the number was actually up a little from last week. And Raw was taped, and it was actually up a little bit. So granted, it's a one-off. It's not every week, but
a 5-hour delay, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not several days, but I mean, we've seen when SmackDown was taped before, it didn't really make a big difference in ratings until they did the roster split.
Right. That's what made the difference. I don't know that we're still, even though everybody's got the internet in their pocket, that it's really going to make a huge difference, because I don't know, people want to sit down and watch the program and see it, and there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to seek out spoilers or even be exposed to spoilers at all.
Right.
But I think I wonder how much it played into the decision to do the brand split. The brand split sure looks good now as far as a decision. I guess me as a fan, I don't want to see a brand split. I want to see all the champions in one place. But if they didn't have this brand split, do they get this much money for SmackDown? Do they get that much money for Raw? Right. I mean, they get that much money for Raw, but do they get it for SmackDown without making SmackDown its own separate roster?
Right. And before, SmackDown was pretty much a repeat of the B matches on Raw.
Yeah. It was
the opposite result.
It's totally missable. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 weeks. We mentioned this earlier. 3 weeks ago, WWE stock passed $40 for the first time ever. Today it closed at $57.86.
Yeah. $4 billion in market capital.
Insane. So here's a big question. So WWE's making $500 million in TV alone. So assuming the other streams of revenue don't drop off, that means the revenue will probably be over $1 billion per year. If they keep, if live events and everything keep at where the levels that they're at.
Right.
Impact. I think they probably get like free pizza once a month from Pop TV. So, like, that's their deal. They do a little rev share on the advertising, and they don't really make any advertising revenue.
Right.
This does not affect all of wrestling. It's just WWE.
It's Major League Wrestling. I think that's the deal. I think that's why we can say how bad Raw was tonight, or how bad the last pay-per-view was, but it's not so bad that it's turning people off to such an extent. Right. And I think the reason why they get this great deal is because it's live, and there's still a lot of people out there who love pro wrestling and who want to watch it. And this is pro wrestling at its highest level. It's as strange as it sounds sometimes.
And compared to what baseball, football, and other sports costs, I mean, I'm assuming this is a bargain. Yeah. Probably even compared to hockey. Hockey is probably more expensive to broadcast NHL games than professional wrestling.
Yeah, those deals are, I mean, the amount per viewer that they're, I mean, look at UFC, which just only half of their deal has been announced so far. We haven't gotten the broadcast part of the deal yet. Just with ESPN Plus, they're getting 10 million per event for streaming. It's not even on ESPN. And you got to think the number of, subscribers that ESPN is going to get from the UFC. I would think if New Japan moved to a streaming service, that you'd be getting a lot of new subscribers to that service with a company like New Japan, which has such a hardcore audience. And
maybe,
I mean, granted, it wouldn't do what WWE would do, but I just feel like there's an opportunity for a company like New Japan. Maybe not the others, maybe not Impact and ROH, but
as time goes on, especially when you look at things like All In and what All In's able to do and sell out a 10,000 seat building in minutes, I feel like the more fans get not fulfilled from what WWE main roster is doing, the more there's an opportunity there for somebody else to do something. And the more powerful social media becomes, the more you can jump over the barrier that you used to have to cross to get on TV to become something that people care about. But maybe, I don't know, they're on Access, and Access is only in 40 some odd million homes,
right?
Which is like less than half of the cable homes in the country.
Yeah. Man, but I'll tell you, if Amazon, Netflix, or Facebook decided they wanted to compete with the WWE, I think it would be the best thing that could happen right now for the quality of product and probably for the business.
Yeah. I think if again, New Japan just got a new president. They want to expand in the West, and I think they Americanize it a little bit. And I think, they could have something because the money's out there. Just no one knows what anything other than WWE is right now in the TV business outside of Mark Cuban. And, that's an issue, but
I think Roseanne knows too, but it's just mainly those two.
Roseanne,
didn't she tweet about New Japan or something?
Yes, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, there's got to be something. Oh, what's that?
I think the other thing that's helped the WWE is they've done. Have you guys heard this "The Hero in All of Us" campaign?
Yeah.
But I think that they've done a lot of work, whether through TVPG or through The Hero in All of Us, or through John Cena going and doing mainstream appearances to get people more in the mindset of, WWE isn't,
right, a bunch of animals.
Well, and that's the difference. I mean, we talked about this year and a half, 2 years ago about how is wrestling today, and even though it's not as popular in terms of numbers, I feel like it's more,
it's more integrated in mainstream.
Yeah, and it's because all these people we grew up with it. I mean, wrestling got its first pop in the early to mid 80s, and then after that really faded away quickly until the mid to late 90s. But now it's not looked down upon. I mean, when you have the Today Show having John Cena on, and they're seriously asking him questions about, when ESPN's writing the thing about Daniel Bryan and The Miz, because all those kids that we marked out for Hulk Hogan and Macho Man back in the day, now we're in media.
Right. I think it's a generational thing. Like the timing is right now. Now all these people, like you're saying, who grew up in the 80s or grew up in the 90s, now they're like career people who can make decisions and can do a vertical on pro wrestling.
Wow.
It's crazy. But with this, I'm telling you, with more mainstream attention comes greater scrutiny. So Meltzer was talking about this. I mean, now people might pay attention more. So maybe next year in Saudi Arabia, there might be a little more scrutiny about that. When people's contracts come up, maybe, I mean, I don't think we'll ever get a union. But maybe people will look more now at the independent contractor status of a lot of these wrestlers and the way the WWE treats them, because I don't think you can be on this big of a level without drawing more attention when it's the blessing and the curse of more people taking you seriously.
Right. Maybe. I mean, really, not much is changing as far as their, I mean, yes, Fox is a big network, but they're also on a low rated night. So
yeah,
I don't see their audience changing all that much. I think it's, maybe it'll go up some, but I don't think it's just going to change that much. I think the wrestling media loves the access to WWE, and the big media outlets won't run negative stuff on it. I mean, the Saudi Arabia stuff,
because they want access as well, because it's ratings.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So they don't, what's that term? Poke the bear.
No, it's access journalism. I mean, when the Moolah thing happened, the only mainstream outlet that wrote about it was Newsweek. Newsweek was like the biggest, because what does Newsweek care what WWE thinks of it?
Right. So you have ESPN. They do like Monday Night Raw reviews and stuff like that.
No,
but
ESPN is completely jocking WWE. So is Rolling Stone. Sports Illustrated, all of it. Yeah. I mean, it's really a joke when you think about it, because they would not treat the NFL even this way.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
All right. Well, so Brandon, your thoughts on All In selling out so quick?
Like kind of like I mentioned, I think this is a historic moment for wrestling. It's something that was able to happen without TV, which is sort of up to this point unheard of. Like the old adage is that if you want to draw money, you got to get on TV first and then draw the people to the building. And they've done that without any traditional TV. They did it. I don't know. We could probably talk for hours about how we think they did it. They did it through, I don't know, being the elite. They did it through New Japan being out there, but I don't think New Japan being on Access is the biggest factor here by far. And you look at Cody Rhodes as somebody who was a mid-card guy in WWE and went and worked hard on the indies and made sure he was wrestling every weekend, probably wrestling for less money than he could have gotten in other places, but he was making sure he was wrestling in the right places. And he had enough of an understanding about how the pro wrestling industry works to know how you would have to gain that capital and build a name up for himself. And they've done it through social media and through maybe some frustration from fans about, not being satisfied with how main roster WWE product is. So
yeah, it's never. I don't think it's really ever been done in America. Right. I know Canada, Jacques Rougeau did an independent show. In India, Great Khali has had these giant shows out there.
Mm-hmm.
But
FMW is an example. Maybe UWFI in Japan. These are both Japanese promotions in the 90s that largely through magazine coverage and maybe some commercial tapes drew stadium-sized crowds.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, sold out in under 30 minutes, over 10,000, 9 to 10,000, depending on what you hear. But it's impressive as hell. So,
yeah, and I
think where do you go with that?
I think there'll be an All In too. I think there should be. There's certainly a business opportunity for there to be. And I've heard it speculated, well, maybe this will be the indie WrestleMania, and I don't see why not. I know AEW in Chicago is going to run piggyback events off of it. Obviously, there's StarCast going on.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
there you have it.
There you go. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Brandon. What do you got coming up on the WrestleNomics podcast?
We're doing a special tomorrow. We're going to do some more talk about this big TV deal. We have a Patreon. You can become a subscriber at patreon.com/WrestleNomics. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestleNomics. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon Thurston. So, yeah, check us out.
All right. Well, we'll definitely do that. And, thanks for joining us as always, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. Well, take care.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Cool. So what else we got before we take this home, Raj?
So Big Cass, they changed his match. He was supposed to be wrestling Samoa Joe on SmackDown. They did that injury angle with Daniel Bryan last Tuesday. And so Big Cass has been selling it all week. He worked all the live events. I know there was rumors that he got injured. He was just selling his injury because he wrestled the next night in Munich. So, clearly he's got a ton of heat. I don't know if they just decided to write him out or if they came up with something else. But yeah, so now it's going to be Daniel Bryan against Jeff Hardy, and then Big Cass and Samoa Joe is completely scrapped. So the winner of Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy faces Samoa Joe the following week.
We shall see. We shall see what happens tomorrow on SmackDown Live.
Don't piss off the boss.
Oh, man. Crazy times for wrestling, Raj.
Yeah, and Enzo Amore is going to be doing an appearance at in Times Square on Monday, on Memorial Day, at 9 o'clock at night. I don't know. He didn't say where. I guess maybe just right in the middle. I guess. So he says he wants to thank the fans and do all that. His Instagram says reincarnation. So, did you
reach out for an interview yet?
No.
He's got to give one, right? He's got to talk to somebody.
Maybe I should.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Yeah. I mean, the whole it's all just so weird.
Yeah,
all of it's just so weird. Yeah, we didn't talk about that last week because I guess it happened.
Yeah, that's right. That's happened since.
Yeah. But yeah, so the police found they did not file charges against Enzo stemming from
they didn't have enough
sexual assault allegation.
Right. Yeah, they didn't have enough to proceed with the case. So he's clear. And that's that. There's nothing coming of that. I asked Don Callis on the Impact call last week if Enzo's someone they would be interested in hiring. And he kind of danced around the answer, but it kind of sounded like not anytime soon, basically.
I would wait a little while on that. I mean, people point out that, just because the police didn't proceed doesn't mean that nothing happened. It just means there wasn't enough evidence to proceed with it. Now, I mean, I'm not saying regardless of what you think about the case, when these accusations have happened, normally if where there's smoke, there's fire, other people come out of the woodwork. With Enzo, nothing to date. There's nothing to suggest.
I mean, there was that text message from her that her friend shared.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this and people have talked about it online. With a lot of these cases and accusations, you can kind of look at it and be kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. There's a pattern, there's a thing. But in this one, this was like one of those Law and Order episodes where they don't tell you whether who's guilty or who's telling the truth. They want you to decide. This was very much like one of those.
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So we'll see. But Enzo's going to be in Times Square, though.
Yeah. And, then it also sucks that if anyone can say any accusation, and then you're kind of always guilty. If you can't ever get a job, even though, it never went to trial, you were never charged for it. And then your career is ruined, Oh,
so. It's this whole thing. Like, it's shitty regardless. This is a terrible tragedy regardless. We just don't know which way things actually happened.
Well, we definitely know that the cops felt that they didn't have enough to press any charges.
But the interesting revelation, and this was per Enzo's lawyer, was saying that he was not aware of the investigation until it broke on social media, what has everyone been saying? The WWE didn't fire him because he was guilty. They let him go because he didn't notify them about the investigation. Enzo's attorney is now saying Enzo didn't know about the investigation until the WWE knew about it.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest piece of news aside from the police not pursuing it.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. Next Monday, Times Square. Who knows?
Yeah. And we'll have to decide by next October if we're going to keep doing the Wednesday podcast. But we have over a year, so
we've got time. And that's the thing. The most important thing about the SmackDown Fox announcement is it's all speculation until the upfronts next year.
No. This is done.
Oh, no. I mean, the details of how it's going to play out. Will SmackDown be live or will it be taped? How will this affect touring? Next year in New York, May of 2019, when Fox announces their fall schedule, we'll know a lot more about this.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern, myself, Raj, Mr. Matt Morgan, technology permitting, we'll be here to talk about SmackDown Live. Until then, Raj, what else should people look for on the site?
We got stuff from our interview with Ken Shamrock up today, so check that out. That Andy conducted, and there'll be more from that, and Scott Steiner, and tons of stuff. So keep checking out the site.
Cool, man. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein. I live tweet along with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and NXT now most weeks as well. We'll be back here Wednesday. Catch you here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care, everyone.